Good morning, beautiful people. How are you today? It's been a while since we were here. For some reason, my little pep talks to myself and to you and to the universe, to the trees, have subsided a little bit. And I'd like to think it's because the world is a more peaceful, gentle, softer, easier and less virus-ridden place right now. And in many countries this is the case. But sadly there are still some countries where life is incredibly difficult right now. And I think for the sake of those people who are suffering, we should just take a deep breath and send them some love. And while you're doing that, I want you to send some love to yourself, because I think the last person we always send love to, while we worry about all our friends or people who are sick, people that we know that are struggling, people we know that have had a really tough time recently or in the last few years. And we worry about them and we fret about them and we stress about them and we hope that their life is going to improve. And pretty much every wise person says the first thing you have to do is to work on yourself. Help yourself, help your friends, help your family. Because then whenever they speak to you, you're so in balance, you're in such a beautiful space that just automatically you give off this very peaceful aura, this very peaceful vibe. And we all have moments like that when suddenly everyone seems to contact us, everyone seems to want to be in our energy space. And that's when we're in balance, that's when our lives are in a good place. That's our calmness within, our silence when all the madness and storms are going off everywhere else. And I think that's the place that we have to aim to be in all the time. But if we're not in that space, it's very important that we are kind to ourselves, that we don't abuse ourselves, that we don't think thoughts that are negative, which kind of spiral out of control, that create paranoia in our lives. When we're stuck inside a storm and the dark clouds are above us, these are times when we really need to remember to be gentle with ourselves. Sometimes it's not easy to be in balance, and I think here in June 2021, we're hitting another big peak in terms of opportunity in the world for ourselves as individuals and ourselves as a species. The summer solstice is that opportunity for us to really manifest what we want in our lives, to bring home the bounty, to really clear our heads, remember what we really want in life. And I'm not necessarily talking about material things, although you may want to manifest those. Perhaps you need a new car to get you to a new place, or you need a new space to live. Maybe you want an amazing partner who is a Zen master or a Zen mistress. I don't know. But what I'm talking about here is bringing joy into your life. Just to remind those around you that you can't see, those who dwell and live in the land of the invisible and yet have such a huge influence on us, to remind them to help you to bring some joy, perhaps some courage and some love into your life. And if we put this out there into the universe, then the material things that are on your mind will probably come anyway. Because when you're in a space of joy, when you're in a space of peace, when you live in tranquility, life tends to bring the things that you need anyway. So I'd like you to take a deep breath. Take it from your root chakra and breathe in deeply. And breathe in not just to your 7th or your 8th chakra, but breathe into the stars, from the root of your spine to the stars. And as you hold that breath, bring down that peace or that love or that tranquility, whatever it is you feel like you need to bring into your life. Breathe in all those things you want, whether it's love or peace or tranquility. And then breathe out as you move down your spine. And let go of everything that you don't need in life. So we'll do that again because that was probably a little bit too rushed. A deep breath with a great intention to bring in love and peace and tranquility or whatever it is you want to bring in. And then breathe out and let go of everything in your life that no longer serves you. And you can keep doing this as I witter on. But I think over the last 18 months, I've learned a lot. I've realised that I was definitely a little bit of a dreamer. Perhaps I didn't live in the real world, but at the same time, I was way too material. I'd become obsessed with creating a job for myself, bringing the money in. I lived way too much in my head in terms of my relationship. Again, I would think too much about the physical. And I struggled to live in a place of surrender, to let life unfold before me. Now, surrender doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you give up on everything. Surrender is a very strong position because it's being willing. Because not only is it letting life unfold, but it's also being willing to let go of those things in your life that you've been holding on to, that you're used to. They feel like they have to be there because they've always been there. And yet the world has moved so fast at such an accelerated pace that our lives have really changed. We've really changed. The planet's really changed. So much has changed. We can pretend it hasn't, but I mean, how many people would have thought they'd be working from home for 2 years? I know some people who've not even been in the office for 18 months. It's incredible. Who would have thought that pretty much nobody would be getting on a plane? Who would have thought we'd be wandering around wearing masks? If someone had said that 3 years ago, would you believe that? So many crazy, weird things. But they're physical. The things that aren't physical that have changed are even bigger. Maybe some people haven't noticed it, but we're looking at the world from a completely different perspective right now. We've slipped into a new dimension. Now that doesn't mean you move planets or you move places or you change bodies necessarily, although some people have. That just means that the world has moved from the mind to the heart. Of course, some people are hanging on to the mind and maybe they'll never fully drop into their heart. But now, we're in a space where if we can be in our heart, then we can be way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game. And I think that's our role now for the next few years as people go through that transition from head to heart. It's our role as the soul doctors of the earth to help people make that transition. To remember that we live beyond this life. To remember that we're not our toes or our fingers or our hands or our physical bodies. We are the witness to what goes on. We sit in a seat of consciousness, which may drive this body. It may be the computer behind this body, but we're definitely not our skin and our bones. We're so much more than that. And while it's nice to satisfy our bodies, while it's nice to wear makeup and look good physically, that's not what we're about. That's not why we came here. We came here to learn lessons, and our body helps us to do that. But as Alberto Villoldo says, we're here not to grow corn, but to grow gods. We're here to open our eyes, to remember that we are a part of the divine. We're made of stardust. We're not a human being who reads about Jesus and Buddha and Moses and the Divine Mother and Shiva. We are Jesus Christ and Buddha and Shiva and Moses. We are the Divine Mother. And that's not our ego talking, that is reality. Every single one of us has a piece of God inside us. I'm not religious at all, but I am divine, and so are you. And today, if you have a bad day or you're a bit stressed, because I know right now, in this space we're in right now, we're being pulled in all sorts of directions, or at least it feels like we are. Let's just say the ocean of tranquility, while being more divine than ever before, is also quite rough right now. There's waves coming in all directions, and often it's easy to get knocked off our boat. But please don't despair, because when the sea is the wildest, this is an opportunity for us to grow even more than ever before. We're being tested. For some crazy reason, I thought that when you start on this spiritual journey, that the more you go down the road, the easier it gets. When the truth is, the further you go down the road, the more challenging it gets, but also the more beautiful it gets. It's like climbing a mountain. The view gets more spectacular, but the wind gets stronger. So, I'm here to remind myself and to remind you, take some deep breaths. Give yourself some love. Remember, you're a piece of God. You are amazing. You are amazing. And it's a real honor to speak to you right now. It's a real honor to be on this planet with you right now. It's a real honor to be part of your tribe. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you're saying thank you to yourself as well. Give yourself a big pat on the back. Remember, you're not a farmer growing corn. You're a piece of divinity growing a God. And that God is growing inside your heart right now. And as I say that, the sun breaks through the clouds on this beautiful morning in France. Almost as if the heavens are telling me and reminding me that as I stand in front of the cornfield, I'm standing here as a God. Maybe I'm not fully grown yet, but I tell you what, there is a God inside my heart. Take a deep breath. The sun is on my face, just warming my skin right now. The birds are singing. There's a plane just flying overhead. And it reminds me actually of my days as a child when I played in my grandma's garden. And all these little planes used to fly over. And she used to make these beautiful, beautiful meals for me. So thank you, Grandma, if you're watching over me. Respect to the plane. Everything we see, everything we feel, everything we observe is meant to be. Life is like Swiss clockwork, only on a whole different level. And as the church bell sounds in the distance, I'm not sure if you can hear it, I just want to thank you again and wish you a beautiful day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being you. And may peace be with you over the coming days. Just remember why you're here and really set that intention to grow the God inside you and to find that peace in your life and that joy. Yours in love and peace, Peter. Thank you. Namaste.